In the realm of modern longevity, we often find ourselves searching for the fountain of youth in expensive supplements or rigorous exercise routines. Yet we completely overlook the most critical window of our existence, the hours spent in darkness. Today, we are not just looking at common health tips, we are performing a deep dive into the midnight crisis, a series of silent triggers that transform our bedrooms from sanctuaries of rest into environments of high cardiac risk. While many creators touch upon nighttime safety, we have analyzed the latest research to bring you a perspective that goes beyond the surface. We aren't here to simply repeat old advice. We are here to re-engineer your evening ritual based on hard science. Imagine a silent predator that doesn't use force, but relies on your own biological oversights, like the timing of your dinner or the position of your body, to undermine your heart's integrity. Statistics show that the early morning hours between 3 and 6 a.m. are when the body is most vulnerable to sudden heart events, often due to nocturnal hypertension or blood viscosity issues that doctors rarely emphasize in a standard checkup. By understanding these mechanisms, we are moving past basic awareness into a next-level strategy for survival. This isn't just about avoiding a hospital visit. It's about reclaiming the restorative power of sleep that your heart desperately needs to sustain its rhythm for decades to come. If you have ever felt your heart racing in the middle of the night or woken up gasping for air, you are receiving a biological warning that your current habits are creating a physiological storm. We are going to break down exactly how to silence that storm, starting with the hidden dangers of metabolic stress and the critical importance of keeping your blood fluid and oxygenated during the most dangerous hours of the day. The transition from wakefulness to deep sleep is a complex biological shift that requires precise conditions, yet most seniors are unknowingly sabotaging this process through a series of invisible killers that we must address immediately. One of the most misunderstood factors is metabolic diversion. When you consume a heavy meal too close to bedtime, your heart is forced into an exhausting overtime shift to power your digestive system, raising your blood pressure by nearly 20 points precisely when it should be dipping. This is compounded by the silent dehydration trap, where the fear of nighttime bathroom trips leads to dangerously thick blood, essentially turning your life-sustaining fluid into a viscous sludge that is prone to clotting. Furthermore, we must confront the melatonin hijacking caused by modern screens, which strips the heart of its most potent natural antioxidant, leaving your arterial walls defenseless against inflammation. But perhaps the most shocking revelation is the role of gravity and posture. Sleeping on your back can lead to obstructive episodes that flood your system with cortisol, scarring your heart tissue over time. To counter this, we advocate for a cardiac wind-down, a combination of electrolyte-rich hydration, side-sleeping techniques, and magnesium supplementation that acts as a chemical shield for your nervous system. By shifting your medication timing to the evening and adopting 4-7-8 breathing techniques, you are not just sleeping, you are actively engaging in a clinical-grade heart recovery session. This approach takes the best of current medical knowledge and refines it into a daily manifesto for anyone over 60 who refuses to be a statistic. We are moving from a state of passive risk to active protection, ensuring that every night you spend in bed is an investment in your future vitality rather than a gamble with your life. This is the difference between surviving the night and thriving through the years, and it starts the moment you decide to take control of your evening environment. The second critical pillar of our longevity strategy involves a fundamental shift in how we view pharmacological timing, a concept known as chronotherapy. For decades, the standard advice has been to take blood pressure medication in the morning to tackle the stresses of the day. But groundbreaking data from the European Heart Journal has turned this logic on its head. When we transition into sleep, our bodies should naturally experience a nightly dip in blood pressure, providing the heart a vital window for repair and recovery. However, millions of seniors suffer from non-dipping or nocturnal hypertension, where blood pressure remains dangerously elevated throughout the night, peaking in the early morning hours when the risk of stroke is highest. By shifting your medication to the evening, you ensure that the drug's peak efficacy coincides exactly with this period of maximum vulnerability. This isn't just a minor adjustment. It's a tactical strike against the leading cause of early morning heart failure. It allows the cardiovascular system to truly rest, preventing the silent scarring of arterial walls that occurs when they are subjected to high pressure during what should be their downtime. But protection doesn't stop with medication timing. It extends to how we manage our internal fluid dynamics. The silent dehydration trap is perhaps the most underestimated risk for those over 65. Because the body's thirst mechanism weakens with age, many seniors exist in a state of chronic subclinical dehydration. When you combine this with the natural loss of fluids through respiration during sleep, your blood becomes dangerously viscous. Imagine your heart trying to pump thick, sticky honey through a network of delicate pipes for 8 hours straight. This viscosity is a primary driver of clot formation. To counter this without ruining your sleep with bathroom trips, we recommend a targeted hydration protocol. 1 full glass of water enriched with potassium and magnesium 2 hours before bed, allowing your kidneys to process the volume while leaving the essential minerals to stabilize your heart rhythm and keep your blood fluid throughout the night. The third dimension of our deep analysis brings us to the invisible battlefield of light and posture, 2 factors that most people consider matters of comfort, but which are actually matters of cardiac survival. We must address the blue light melatonin hijack with clinical seriousness. Melatonin is frequently marketed as a mere sleep aid, but in the world of advanced cardiology, it is recognized as a master antioxidant that specifically protects the vascular endothelium from oxidative stress. As we age, our natural production of this heart shield drops by up to 75%, and when we expose our eyes to tablets and smartphones late at night, we effectively eliminate what little protection remains. This lack of melatonin doesn't just make it harder to fall asleep. It leaves your arteries exposed to inflammatory markers that accelerate plaque buildup. Within this same window of vulnerability, we find the posture trap. Sleeping flat on your back is often a recipe for obstructive events where the tongue and soft tissues partially block the airway, a condition known as sleep apnea that affects nearly half of all seniors. Every time your breathing is interrupted, your brain sounds a massive internal alarm, flooding your bloodstream with adrenaline and cortisol. These sudden spikes in stress hormones cause your blood pressure to skyrocket hundreds of times per night, even if you never fully wake up. This repeated pumping of the heart under duress is what leads to enlarged heart chambers and irregular rhythms like atrial fibrillation. The solution is a deliberate shift to side sleeping, specifically on the left side, which facilitates better lymphatic drainage from the brain and reduces gravitational pressure on the heart's major vessels, ensuring that your respiratory and circulatory systems work in harmony rather than in conflict. In our fourth segment, we must confront the most profound yet overlooked heart risk, the cortisol loop, fueled by evening emotional rumination. There is a catastrophic physiological difference between physical exhaustion and mental stress, and for the senior heart, the latter is far more taxing. When you lie in bed replaying the day's worries, consuming distressing news, or obsessing over future uncertainties, you are engaging in a form of internal exercise that your heart never signed up for. This chronic psychological activation prevents the nervous system from switching from the sympathetic, fight or flight, state to the parasympathetic, rest and digest, state. In this heightened state, your heart rate variability, HRV, drops, and your inflammatory markers, specifically C-reactive protein, begin to climb. To break this cycle, we introduce the cardiac wind-down, a scientifically backed ritual designed to manually override your stress response. This involves the 4-7-8 breathing technique, which has been shown in clinical settings to lower heart rate and blood pressure within minutes by stimulating the vagus nerve. Pairing this with a gratitude audit or a simple brain dump on paper moves the cognitive load out of the brain and allows the endocrine system to flush out residual cortisol. Furthermore, we emphasize the role of magnesium glycinate as a calming mineral for the modern age. Unlike other forms of magnesium, the glycinate version crosses the blood-brain barrier effectively, relaxing both the mind and the smooth muscles of the arterial walls. This isn't just about relaxing, it's about creating a biochemical environment where the heart is physically permitted to heal. When you combine neurological calm with mineral support, you are creating a dual-layered defense system that protects you during your most defenseless hours. Health transformation, which is the realization that your biological age is not a fixed sentence, but a dynamic state influenced by tonight's decisions. The human body, particularly the cardiovascular system, possesses a relentless drive toward homeostasis and healing, provided we remove the obstacles we've inadvertently placed in its way. By integrating these 6 shifts, the 3-hour fasting window, the bedtime medication protocol, electrolyte-rich hydration, the elimination of late-night blue light, side sleeping, and active stress management, you are not just avoiding a heart event, you are optimizing your cellular health for the next 2 decades. This comprehensive approach moves beyond the surface-level advice found in common health videos and enters the realm of precision longevity. We have taken the raw data from global heart journals and the tragic lessons of those like Harold to build a roadmap that is both practical and life-saving. Your heart has spent decades working for you, beating over 100,000 times a day without a single break. It is an engineering marvel that deserves more than a fine evening routine. It deserves a protective sanctuary. As you move forward, remember that every night is an opportunity to reset your inflammatory markers and strengthen your arterial integrity. This is the new standard of senior health, one where we are no longer passive observers of our aging process, but active architects of our vitality. The people who love you and depend on your wisdom need you to be present and healthy. By making these changes tonight, you are making a profound statement that your health is your greatest asset, and you have the knowledge and the power to protect it.